Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position on a pillow or towel, blanket, cushion. I guess a cushion and a pillow is similar. Block. Something that allows the back of your spine and the back of your neck to sit nice and long and tall, opening up your chest and opening up your diaphragm and opening up your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale, and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or a phrase to have with you on your mat, and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is truth. So again, the first limb of the 8 limbs of yoga is the Yamas, guidelines on how to interact with the world. There are 5 Yamas, and the second one is Satya, and that is Sanskrit for truth. So you would find your truth in your mind through integrity, understanding and speaking the truth. Mark Twain said, "If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything." So true. And then you would find your truth in your body through awareness, finding your own sweet spot between effort and relaxation, and knowing that it'll be, or knowing awareness, that it'll be different for everyone. So what I'm doing won't necessarily be what you're doing, and that is your truth and perfectly okay. So as Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. I'm going to say that again because I was choking up. Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And then lastly, finding your truth, or finding truth in your spirit through authenticity, being true to yourself. Henry David Thoreau said, "We are constantly invited to be who we are." So with our pranayama technique this morning, it's said that there's one simple way of observing truth in our practice, is by paying close attention to our breath. If the breath is strained or shallow, it's likely that the body isn't very happy with what's going on. So, listening to our breath and paying attention to our breath, the pranayama of Ujjayi, which is also that Sanskrit for victorious breath. We also know it as ocean breath because of the sound it makes. So Ujjayi breath can be the soundtrack for your yoga practice because of that sound. It will make you aware more easily of what's going on with your body. And the other benefits of Ujjayi breath is that it quiets the mind and it slows the flow of breathing. So it just kind of calms the whole body down. So we'll actually be doing the Ujjayi breath once we start our asana practice, but it's that one that sounds like the ocean when you put a shell up to your ear. It emanates from the back of your throat. It's kind of like a very soft snore, or the Darth Vader sound is another description. And then for our meditation, we'll just do a short meditation. I'll go to Matt. But there's a mudra that is a truth mudra. And Sanskrit's name for truth is tattva. Tattva. So it's the tattva mudra. And it reminds us that our true nature is unchanging, pure, and whole. And the tattva mudra is taking your hand and bringing your thumb to the base of your ring finger. And that reminds us again that our true nature is unchanging, pure, and whole. And if you'd like, you could use that mudra in our meditation. I do have an affirmation for you, and it is this: my truth is my integrity, awareness, and authenticity. My truth is my integrity, awareness, and authenticity. And let me do on that. Open your eyes now, and we'll start our asana practice. As I said, we'll first couple of poses will really work on the Ujjayi breath, and the Ujjayi breath, that ocean sound. If you want to practice a little bit, you would kind of breathe into your hand like you're trying to fog up a mirror. And then doing that with your mouth closed. And you can feel it kind of come up into the back of your nose. I don't know if that's the sinusy, nasally part. And then on the inhale, it's that Darth Vader sound. So we'll do that with our first asana, and just kind of listening to how deep your breath sounds when you can actually listen to it. So placing our fingers alongside of us, we're going to lift them slowly up overhead with the inhale, using the Ujjayi breath. And then bringing them down, palms together, and bringing the palms down to our heart center on the exhale, using the Ujjayi breath. Inhale, opening the hands to the back. And then exhale, closing the hands. And then inhale up. And exhale down. You can hear that ocean sound. Sounds lovely on a summer day. So we'll do that a few more times. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale up. And exhale down. We'll do that one last time too. And when you're listening to the sound, it also kind of shuts off your monkey mind from thinking this and that. You're focusing on that sound, and it's kind of like when we make the humming bee, or the bee breath, the humming. You're listening to the hum going on, and it kind of blocks out everything else that's going on in your mind. So one last time again, inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, up. And exhale down. Then we'll do a few twists. I call them sun twists. And then we'll do those in kind of a flow. So we're gonna, once you touch down your fingers, you just kind of bring them back up again and twist. So inhaling, using your Ujjayi breath. Twisting to the left, bringing them down. Using the Ujjayi breath. Inhale once you've touched down. twisting over to the right, exhale. And make a nice even flow. And one last time, up and coming back to center. And then we'll do the seated side stretch. So we're going to bring one set of fingers down. I'm going to do it with my right fingers and then lift our left arm up close to our ear and then bend our right elbow toward the mat as we exhale. And if you're using your Ujjayi breath, you're going to hear you kind of run out of steam the lower you go in your bend. So just adjust your arm to the point where you can still have that nice even flow. Coming back to center, we'll do that on the other side. Lifting the right arm up alongside our ear and then bending our left elbow toward the mat. Exhaling, tilting our body to the left. And then coming back up, we'll do that a couple more times on each side. Nice even flow. Arm coming up and then bending the other elbow down toward the mat. And then just going at your own pace, moving from side to side. And then when you're ready, you come back to center. We're going to come up onto our hands and knees for tabletop. With our palms nice and snug into the mat, fingers spread out as wide as you can, really gripping the mat. Your shoulders are right over the wrists, hips are right over the knees, navel's tucked to the spine, creating a nice flat back. We have pushing down into our hands. We've equally distributed our weight into our hands. Just kind of get tweaky a little bit here to get everything feeling comfortable there. And then we'll do a few head turns. So we're going to turn our head to the right. And then back to center. And then keep the flow going over to the left. And back to center. Keep the flow going over to the right. And then back to center. And you can just keep turning your head and find that Ujjayi breath. It could be one big breath for the full sweep, or exhaling when you turn your head. Find something that kind of works for you and has a nice flow in listening to the sound of that Ujjayi breath. And then we'll return our head back to center. Check in on our tabletop. Weights evenly distributed, navel's tucked to the spine. And then we'll go into a few cat and cows. So we're round our back on the exhale. Inhale, lifting our head and tailbone up for cow. And then rounding the back again, head and tailbone come down for cat. Inhale up for cow. Exhale for cat using your Ujjayi breath. And we'll just continue here for a few moments, really listening to your breath here. And then come back to center, back to tabletop. And we'll extend the right leg down to the end of the mat, landing on your ball of your foot, pushing the heel back. And then we'll take that right leg and swing it over the left leg and out to the outside of the mat on the left side. And then slowly turning your head, look back at that right foot. And then we'll bring that right foot back, but we're going to keep it down at the end of the mat. And we're going to lift that right foot up, have it even with the hip height, and then lift the left arm up, coming into bird dog. So point the toe on the inhale and flex the toes on the exhale. So point, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale. One last time, point, inhale, and bring both hands and knees back down. We'll do that on the other side. So back to tabletop, and then extending the left leg so that you're landing on the ball of your foot, pushing the heel toward the bottom of the mat. And then lifting the left foot, crossing it over the right, landing on the outside of the right side, outside of the mat. And then gently turning your head to look back at your foot. And then we'll bring that right foot or left foot back to its position at the bottom of the mat. And lifting that left leg up so it's at even height with your hips. And putting a little pressure in your hands so that your shoulders don't collapse. And then lifting up the right hand, sending it forward, and then pointing the left toe, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, Point inhale, flex exhale, point inhale, flex exhale. One last time, point inhale and bring hand and knee back down. And I'm gonna go into child's pose, and you have the option here of either extending your knees to each side, having a wide-legged child's pose, or just bringing your hips back to your ankles with your legs straight forward for a regular extended arm child pose. Then we'll come back up to tabletop, tuck our toes under, walking our hands back. We'll come up onto the balls of our feet and then press down, coming up to mountain pose. And we'll bring our big toes so that they're nice in line with a long or straight edge, not necessarily the long edge of your mat. You're just in line with that. And we'll lift our toes up, spreading them apart as far as we can go. And then bringing them back down to the mat and lifting our heels up. And then bringing our heels back down. Really feeling that connection, that grounding with the earth and the stability and strength of mountain pose. And then it's also, mountain pose is great for the essentials of good posture. So our legs are nice and straight, strong, flexing in the knees, just gently flexing, keeping us flexible. Navel's tucked to the spine, elongating the spine and the back of our neck. Navel's tucked to the spine, creating that nice length. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is kind of tucked back, not down, but back. Again, creating that nice long spine in the back of the neck. The crown of your head is reaching toward the sky. And then we'll sweep our arms up overhead, nice big Ujjayi. Inhale. And then exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. And then bringing our hands to our shins, nice flat back. So our kind of focus on your spine and your neck being one long line. Gaze is down. And then we'll drop the crown of our head down toward the mat. And just let our hands hang here for a moment. Just letting gravity take over. And then we'll sweep our hands slowly coming up in the big Ujjayi inhale. And then as our hands come up overhead, we're going to lift our feet up, our heels up, so we're on our tippy toes. Yeah, we're going to lift our feet off the mat, levitate. And then exhale, bringing our hands down. And as our hands come down, our heels come down, just focusing on nice slow movement with control. Again, lifting our hands up Lifting our heels up, coming up onto our tippy toes. And then down slowly with control. Bringing our heels back down to the earth. And one last time, sweeping our hands up. Coming up onto our tippy toes. And then slowly lowering our hands back down. And we'll keep lowering our hands all the way down to the mat. Bending our knees as we go. Inhaling, bringing our hands to our shins, creating a nice flat back. And then lowering the crown of our head down toward the mat. Sweeping our hands all the way up, a big Ujjayi breath. And then we're going to bring our arms down and interlace our fingers behind our back. And this is a yoga lock. We'll just relax our shoulders here for a moment. And then we're going to tilt our waist or pelvis so that we come into a half forward fold. Again, focusing on that nice long spine in the back of our neck. Having our fingers interlaced behind us. You can lift your arms up off your hips if they're resting there and kind of send them out straight. And if you'd like, this is a half forward fold. If you like to lower your crown of your head down to the mat, it's optional. And lift your arms all the way up, hands reaching toward the sky. Forward fold with a lock. And then lowering our hands back down, resting on our hips, and then coming back up to mountain pose. We'll sweep our hands up and overhead. Big Ujjayi breath. Exhale, coming down, bending our knees as we go, bringing our hands to the mat. And then inhale, lifting our hands up to our shins, half forward fold. And then bringing our left hands onto the mat, right in front of our left foot, bending the left knee toward the left arm, keeping the right leg somewhat straight. We'll take the right hand, sweep it up to the sky. And you can follow the hand with your gaze if you'd like. Forward fold with a twist. And then bring that right hand back down. We'll switch places so the right hand goes in front of the right foot. Right knee bends toward the right arm. Left leg is straight with that little bit of flexibility in that knee. Don't lock your leg in. And then sweep the left hand up to the sky. And then bringing it back down again. And then we'll sweep the hands all the way up overhead. Big Ujjayi breath. Inhale. And then hands, palms come together. And palms come to heart center. And then palms come to the back of the hips. You have your feet about hip width apart. Palms of your hands are resting on your hips, back of your hips. Fingertips pointing down. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. This time chin is tucked toward the chest. And then we'll just relax the shoulders and roll them back into a supported back bend. This is where I usually have every class, everyone focus on their breath. They incorporate that Ujjayi. And really then adjust where you should be, listening to a nice, smooth Ujjayi breath, listening to how shallow it is or strained it might be, and adjusting accordingly. Alrighty, and come back to mountain pose, and we'll continue on. So back to mountain pose, sweeping our hands up overhead with a big inhale. Exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. And the hands landing on the mat. We're gonna send our right foot back and come into runner's lunge. So the left knee is right above the left ankle. We're framing the left foot with our hands. Right leg is nice and long and engaged. Just make it active by pushing your heel back. And then we'll bring the right knee down to the mat. Top of the right foot lands on the mat as well. And we'll just stay in this low lunge. So you can have your hands on the mat, or you can bring your hands to the top of your left knee, just kind of behind the knee, straightening out your torso. Or if you like, you can lift your arms up to the sky. Your choice. I think for today, I'm going to just kind of land them on my knee. And then if you'd like, you can move a little bit forward or back, your knees over your ankle, but if you like to move a little forward, not beyond your big toe, just kind of stretching out that right thigh. And then we'll place the hands back down on the mat if they're not already. Tucking the back toe under, we're going to come back to runner's lunge and pivot the back foot down and raise ourselves up to warrior one. So with warrior one, we'll lift our arms up to the sky briefly, and then bringing them down and interlacing them behind our back, rolling our shoulders back, and we'll tilt our pelvis, or tilt our waist. We're going to pivot our waist so that we are having our torso over our left thigh and extending our arms back. For modified humble warrior, or if you like, you can bring your left shoulder down to the left knee, sending your gaze back to your right foot, sending the hands up to the sky for full humble warrior. And then we'll release the hands, bringing them down to the mat, coming back to runner's lunge, and then bringing our right knee back down to the mat, top of our right foot back down to the mat, back to low lunge again. So again, you can keep your hands on the mat, or bringing them up to your knee, or sending them up to the sky. I'm going to keep mine to my knee today. And then just kind of Send your left knee forward a little bit, if you like, optional. And then back, and forward a little bit again. And back. Then bringing our hands back down to the mat. Tucking the back foot under, coming back to runner's lunge. And pivot our foot back down again. And this time we're going to sweep our hands up and come into warrior two. So our left knee's right over our left ankle. You can see our big toe. Back foot's angled and edge of the foot's nice and snug in the mat. Arms are at shoulder height. Sending our gaze to our left fingertips. We'll drop the right hand down and lift the left fingertips up to the sky for reverse warrior. And then we'll bring our forearm down to our thigh. Or if you like, you can bring your left fingertips to the mat, sending your right hand up to the sky. And then bring both hands back down to the mat, pivoting back into runner's lunge. We'll bring the back knee down again, coming into low lunge. One last time for low lunge here. And then we'll bring our hands back down to the mat. Tuck our back foot under, coming into runner's lunge. And this time we're going to bring our left foot back to join our right foot, coming into plank pose. And then lowering down either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, slowly to the mat. Keeping our hands underneath our shoulders, elbows tucked to their side. We'll lift our chin and chest up to cobra. Pushing with our hands, coming up into cobra. And then coming up to tabletop and lowering down to child's pose. And then when we're in child pose, just kind of listen to our breath. And then try to turn on that Ujjayi sound. And notice how it slows down our breath, calms our mind. Come back to tabletop. Tuck our toes under, lifting our hips up to the sky, coming into downward dog. And we'll pedal out here for a moment. Arms are nice and straight and strong. Chest is reaching toward our thighs to elevate our hips. And then we'll slowly walk our feet back up to our hands, coming into forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together, palms come to heart center. And we'll do that all on the other side. So sweeping our hands up again. Big Ujjayi, inhale. And exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat. Bending our knees as we go and landing our hands firmly on the mat. We'll extend our left foot back, coming into runner's lunge. And with our knee right above our ankle, left leg's nice and strong, heels pushing to the back of the mat. Then bringing the left knee down to the mat, left top of the foot down to the mat. We'll come into low lunge. Again, you can keep your hands down on the mat if that's more comfortable for you, or bringing them up to your knee, or extending them up to the sky. I'm going to keep my hands on my knee today and just move my knee forward a little bit, and then back, and then forward a little bit, and then back. And then bringing our hands back down to the mat, tucking the toe under, coming back to runner's lunge. Pivot that back foot down and come up into warrior one. Now sweep our hands up to the sky just for a moment. And then bringing them back down, interlacing them behind us. And pivot our waist so our torso's over our thigh, extending our hands out back. And then if you'd like to come into full humble warrior by bringing your right shoulder down to your right knee, sending your gaze back to the left foot, arms go up to the sky. And then releasing the hands, bringing them back to the mat, pivoting back to runner's lunge, bringing that left knee back down to the mat, top of the left foot back down. You can stay here with your hands on the mat or bringing them up to your knee. And then we'll just kind of move the knee forward a little bit, not beyond the toes, and then back so it's over the ankle. And then forward a little bit, and back. Then placing the hands back down on the mat, tucking the back toes under, coming back up to runner's lunge, pivoting the back foot so it lands down on the mat at an angle. And then we'll sweep our hands up into warrior two. Front leg, the knees right over the ankle. Be able to see your big toe. Back foot is nice and snug. Torso's facing the long edge of the mat. Arms are at shoulder height. We'll turn our head. So we'll look at our right fingertips. And then lifting our right hand up into peaceful warrior. Coming with our left hand down to the thigh. And then bringing the right hand, right forearm down to your right thigh. Or if you'd like, you could bring your right hand all the way down to the mat, sweeping the left hand up to the sky. And then bringing both hands back down to the mat, pivoting and lowering the left leg down again to low lunge. We'll bring our hands back up to our knee, or right behind our knee. And then just kind of gently move that knee forward and back, ever so slightly. Over the ankle and then toward the toe. And then come back. And bring our hands back down to the mat for one last time, tucking the back toe under, runner's lunge. And then bringing your right foot back to join that left foot, coming into plank pose. Navel's tucked to the spine, elevating our hips slightly. No saggy tummies here. And then we'll lower down to the mat. Knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. And then gently lift our chin, chest up, pushing into our hands, coming into cobra. And then coming up to tabletop and lowering down to child's pose. With that Ujjayi breath, kind of bringing your breath down to a nice even flow. And then we'll come back up to tabletop and swing our legs to one side. And come down to sit on the mat. And then we'll lower ourselves to the mat. And you can either have your knees bent, knees straight, tuck your hands under, do the express method, whatever works for you today. I'm going to have my knees bent. And then we'll bring our knees to our chest and give them a nice hug. Rock back and forth. Give our lower back a massage. And then make nice big circles with our toes. Continue that massage. Go one way and then the other. And then come back to your knees to your chest and give them one last hug. And we're going to extend our legs forward so that you look like you're sitting in a chair. Your legs are at a 90-degree right angle. And we'll place the hands down on the mat alongside of us, palms down, for a little bit of support. And what we're going to do is scissor our legs. So we're going to start, for example, with our right foot and bring it down to the mat. And then bring it back up and then take the left foot and extend it up to the sky. You can point your toes up to the sky and bring it down. So the right foot brings the toe down to the mat. Left foot, toe goes up to the sky. Right foot comes down, and then the left foot goes up to the sky. And then we'll do that on the other side. Left toe comes down to the mat. Then they come both back to that chair pose. I forgot to mention that. And then bringing the right toe up to the sky. Then back to the chair position. Left toe go down, comes back, right toe goes up, and comes back. Left toe goes down, comes back, right toe goes up and back. So then we're going to do kind of a scissory thing where they alternate. So right toe goes down, left toe goes up, right toe goes up, left toe goes down. Actually, that should have been left toe goes down first, then the right toe goes up. Right toe down, left toe up, Left toe down, right toe up. And then we'll just kind of continue in a nice flow. Scissoring as we go. Really point your toe up to the sky. Point your toe down to the mat. Get that flow going, I hope. A few more, and then we'll land both feet on the mat. There we go. Then we'll slide our feet back down to the end of the mat and prepare for Shavasana. Actually, you know what? I think I could use a nice knee to chest hug first. Kind of loosen up my lower back, and then I'll prepare for Shavasana. Bringing our heels to the corners of the mat, letting our feet just relax and drop open, letting our whole body relax. We take one big inhale, and then exhale through your mouth. And just release your body into the mat. One big inhale again. Exhale through the mouth, and then release. And today's poem I have for you is by Mary Oliver, and the title is The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?